I felt compelled to make this video and to write this presentation because too many people, too many brain-dead drones, particularly on the lefty side, Democrat politicians such as that disgusting, whiny, violent, hateful mental case of the state of Maine, Scott Hamann, this creepy nut actually barfed these wacky words. Quote, President Obama ran quite possibly the classiest two-term presidency in U.S. history. No scandals, successful commander-in-chief, 0 rape victims, and he improved the economy month after month in terms of unemployment, GDP, and stock market. Okay, the problem with that statement is that every single word of it is provably untrue and unhinged. Successful commander-in-chief. Okay, ISIS formed under Obama's watch. The so-called Arab Spring was a winter nightmare, and Libya is a disaster. Americans died in Benghazi under his watch and the watch of his dog Hillary as Secretary of State. A serious civil war happened under Obama's watch, and Obama took 2 wars and turned them into 7, and he ordered drone strikes that killed thousands of civilians, and where even Jeremy Scahill said Obama was a monster for doing so, and that Obama doubled down on many of Bush's disasters and hawkishness. So much for, quote, successful commander-in-chief. And by the way, did you know that in the year 2009, under President Obama, there were about 51 drone strikes in just 1 year under Obama, compared to just about 51 drone strikes under Bush in 8 years. Seriously. But Hamann, in his disgusting, vulgar, and demented rant, actually said the words, quote, Obama ended wars, unquote. When the real truth, as even Jimmy Dore, who is a lefty, repeatedly and rightly says, quote, Obama took 2 wars and turned them into 7, or maybe even 8. But it's amazing that because Scott Hamann is such a pot kettle black psychotic, he actually says about Trump, quote, literally everything he says is to reframe reality to fit his narrative. Again, projection psychosis for this silly and psycho moron, because that's exactly what this jerk-off Hamann has done and does to the nth degree, is what's going on here. Trump is dirty and corrupt, as all politicians are, but Hillary Clinton was provably worse, and is worse. Don't get me wrong, Trump is doing the same madness too with drone strikes, mainly from pressure from the deep state and warmongering generals and staff and Republicans, being boxed in by them. That's the corrupt system for you. But again, Hillary would have been worse, with her proposed no-fly zone threats over Syria and antagonism and general war piggery to please her donors and war merchants. And even some independent lefties have openly admitted that fact. Hamann is such an establishment idiot, though, and an obvious cocoon zombie-tard lunatic, buying the overblown Russia fairy tale, of course, and saying that Trump was, quote, installed by the Russians, unquote, and not caring one iota that Trump beat 17 other Republicans in the primaries, and that 30 out of 50 states voted Trump over that status quo queen of corruption and greedy monster Hillary Clinton, and that Russia did not make Hillary avoid states or make her trip on the sidewalk with some banana peel or something, and those exaggerated, quote, Russia bots and puppy memes, hardly anyone saw them, and WikiLeaks simply exposed facts about how duplicitous and disgusting and dishonest Hillary Clinton and her campaign team provably, factually, empirically are. CNN, NBC, CBS, ABC, Washington Post, and New York Times can barf slanted, warpedly framed propaganda all day long, and that's fine for some reason. But God forbid, exposed facts about who they wanted to install as president come out that are embarrassing or negative. Yeah, okay. Hamann needs some stronger meds. Even the rape matter. By promoting a woman, as Obama promoted Hillary, promoting a woman who trashed and threatened all of Bill Clinton's rape victims, coddling these things, Too many people drink the Kool-Aid, the poison punch, and are brain-dead zombies and drone tards with no critical thinking or honest analysis at all on various matters. The sad state of this stupid, warped world in these last days. But here goes. The presidential administration of Barack Hussein Obama was full of scandal, but a partisan and lazy media has determined for his 8 years as president, and to this very day, to see no scandal in it. The lefty so-called, quote, news media is not about honest, unbiased, straight, fair journalism, but about propaganda and biased advocacy and corruption, with some actual news spread here and there, of course. The way they frame things, the wording, the bias, the insinuation, the omissions, for or against who the bosses and anchors and reporters personally either like or dislike, are all too obvious for the honest viewer and reader. The mainstream media is basically unanimous on this delusional point. Barack Obama is remarkable among recent U.S. presidents for having been utterly untouched by scandal. Oh, goodness. Either personal or political. Yeah, great role model, sneaking cigarettes. He can't stop smoking something, it seems. By the way, even though this was not under his 8-year presidency, but as state senator in Chicago in the 1990s, even CNN did an expose in 2008 that Obama's people then called a, quote, hit piece, exposing how corrupt and slimy Obama and his Chicago crew were back then. As far as his 8-year presidency, not only was the Obama administration marked by scandal of the most serious sort, perverting the machinery of the state for political ends, it was on that front, which is the most important one, the most scandal-scarred administration in modern presidential history. Under the Obama administration's watch, the Internal Revenue Service and other federal agencies from the ATF to the National Labor Relations Board were illegally used to target and harass Obama's political enemies. The IRS targeting scandal was the most high-profile of these, but others are just as bad, just as disturbing. Federal investigations and congressional oversight were obstructed, real obstruction of justice, and investigators were lied to outright. A serious crime. The Obama administration protected the wrongdoers and saw to it that they retired with generous federal pensions rather than serving federal sentences for their crimes.
Real classy, huh? Hamann's an idiot.
The Obama administration oversaw the illegal sale of arms to Mexican traffickers for purposes that to this date have not been adequately explained. And those guns have been used to murder American law enforcement officers, as well as civilians. But Obama's administration had no scandal in it, as Hamann barfed, arf, arf, arf.
President Obama's Secretary of State, Hillary Rodham Clinton, was involved in a high-profile case in which she inappropriately set up a private and secret email system to avoid and evade ordinary governmental oversight, and where she had highly sensitive material, dangerous material, was reckless, stupid, arrogant, and careless, and totally obnoxious, and she and her associates routinely lied and misled investigators, obstructed investigations, and hid or destroyed evidence. These are all serious crimes. These are all serious infractions. These are all serious violations. And where Obama's Attorney General Loretta Lynch obstructed justice with FBI Director James Comey at the time, with telling them to not call this thing a, quote, investigation, but a, quote, matter. And with setting up a meeting with Bill Clinton, husband of Obama's Secretary of State Hillary, on the tarmac to make the thing go away. Real obstruction of justice. that, of course, Rachel Maddow and Brian Stelter and Chuck Todd never discuss or care about. They never get into that. They never cry about that because of those media hacks being on Team Obama and Team Hillary all the way themselves. The Obama administration made ransom payments to the Iranian government and lied about having done so. Cover-ups, then exposings. Under the Obama administration, the Secret Service has been a one-agency scandal factory, with drunk agents driving their cars into White House barriers and getting mixed up with hookers in Cartagena, all under Obama's watch, where if the same exact thing happened under Trump, the mainstream media would be saying things like, quote, "You see, Trump's administration is in chaos and he's unfit to lead or command, etc., blah, blah, blah." Double standards galore, of course. But get this. At the time that the Secret Service hooker stuff happened under Obama, even NBC called it a, quote, scandal. So, they had to concede that to an extent, at least in that sense. So to have selective amnesia now and pretend that Obama's legacy was totally, quote, scandal-free, these networks are being either deliberately dishonest or just plain delusional. Okay, here we go. Under the guise of developing, quote, green energy projects, the Obama administration shunted money to politically connected cronies at Solyndra and elsewhere. Make sure the money goes to our flunkies, right? Obama's men at the Veterans Administration oversaw a system in which the American servicemen lost their lives to bureaucratic incompetence and medical neglect, and then falsified records to cover it up. Oh, but Obama's administration was totally scandal-free. Okay. Okay, under the flimsiest of national security pretexts, the Obama administration used the Department of Justice to spy on Fox News reporter James Rosen. It also spied on the Associated Press. And the Associated Press, or the AP, are overall lefty-leaning. Don't fool yourself into thinking that they're, quote, middle of the road. They're not. If there's anything centrist about the AP, they're definitely at least center-left. Let's be real about that. And Obama had even them spied on. The Obama administration's Attorney General, Eric Holder, left office while being held in contempt of Congress for inhibiting the investigation of other Obama administration scandals. Oops. On November 14, 2013, Congress introduced a resolution proposing articles of impeachment against Holder. The articles cited Holder for his alleged role in Operation Fast and Furious, where the ATF, under Eric Holder, quote, purposely allowed licensed firearms dealers to sell weapons to illegal straw buyers, hoping to track the guns to Mexican drug cartel leaders and arrest them, unquote. Refusal to defend the Defense of Marriage Act in court. It was the law of the land at the time. And of course, Eric Holder, because of political bias and ideology, ignored that, didn't live up to his job. failing to prosecute anyone involved in the IRS targeting of groups based on name and political theme, and for allegedly perjuring himself by stating that he had no knowledge of any potential prosecution of members of the media for disclosure of classified material. As of June 2014, there were 26 co-sponsors to the bill. Eric Holder resigned in disgrace in September 2014. But yeah, we're to believe that Obama's administration was, quote, completely scandal-free, arf arf. What about the Obama pardon scandals? President Barack Obama used his last week in office to grant clemency to hundreds of federal prisoners, reducing the sentences of some and pardoning others outright. And of course, he pardoned political terrorists and a number of hardened drug dealers. Having an IRS that sorts nonprofits by their political stances in order to facilitate the harassment of political rivals is in real terms far worse than anything Bill Clinton got up to with Monica Lewinsky, and far worse than the shenanigans that Gordon Liddy and the rest of the Nixon henchmen got up to in the Watergate. The ATF harassment of True the Vote and other Obama administration enemies is the stuff of which banana republics are made. Using the machinery of the state to seek political power and to aggrandize the political power one holds is the most destructive form of political corruption there is. And Barack Hussein Obama did that in spades. A sane society would prosecute it the way we prosecute murder or armed robbery. It is a scandal, and more than that, it is an assault on the foundations of a free society. That was President Barack Obama for you. Wake up.